Alright, so continuing where we left off, the interim period before Christ. What you want to take away from here is that the capitals of these Jewish temples had the mushroom, the psilocybin mushroom, clearly depicted here at the top of the capital, at the top of the column. So let's go forward and see what is next. The Canaanite land. The land that was basically full of a deprived set of peoples, and one of those peoples was called the Amorites. This is a capital of a column capital of the Amorites, and it has this seashell in it. You can see an example of it here. And the seashell is basically a Western version of the conch shell. It's the spiral, the serpent spiral. And it was denoting the morning glory, the glory of the morning, or Lucifer's name. Here we have a picture of Bohemian Grove, where they worship a giant, I don't know if I would say they worship, but they worship in front of a giant stone owl, which is Athena's symbol, the goddess who was sprang out of Zeus's head, who ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil and became the serpent's pet. You've all seen the pictures of the woman with the horns. Well, it's kind of like that with Athena. Athena means Athanatos, or deathless one, and she's always painted very pale like a corpse. So these are her symbols, the owl, and they're still practicing this at Bohemian Grove, which is in Northern California. And all the elites get together there and go through these ceremonies, the burning of care. So they're burning away their care for us. The above-ground Christian church. While persecuted, much remains of both the archaeological and the historical archaeology. These are capitals from Jerusalem. You see the opium poppy clearly depicted with the Torah, the Hanukkah. No, you see, I know my Jewish is I forget the name of it, but it's a 7-candlelit candlestick, menorah. That's it. And then after Christ, so before Christ, they had the menorah, which shows up in the Maccabees, the Catholic book of the Maccabees. And then after Christ came, they had the cross. They still have these kind of morning glory tendrils, but they put the cross in there. And about 70 AD, Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans, who had had enough of their uprisings, and they destroyed them. This is Pompeii. This is from Pompeii, which was destroyed. It's a Roman villa. It was destroyed by Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. And it was thought to be God's way of saying, well, you've conquered my people, but now I'm going to conquer you. And this is a opium poppy here, where a cobra is coming out of it with the lily symbol on top, and the grail cup with the peacock symbol in it, with a lily symbol on top. So what that means is that among the Greek tradition, it was believed that medical plants were bitten by serpents and they injected their venom into the medical plant, and that's where the medical plant got its properties. An interesting but false, of course, idea. This is from Cappadocia. These are Coptic. Actually, this is Coptic churches here. So that's Egypt. And in Egypt, you had these crosses, which were made up of 4 conjoining mushrooms. If you took one of them, this one right here, out and set it aside, you would see that it looks a lot like a mushroom. So the early cross was depicted as a mushroom. And that's probably what Jesus meant when he said, pick up your cross and bear it. And these, of course, are cubensis. First century early Coptic church. If we were to zoom in here, in the mouth of these two apostles is the underside of a mushroom. Sort of what you see when you buy a store-bought mushroom. Their mouths are O's because they're indicating that they're eaters of this mushroom. The cross is depicted as an ankh with the symbol of the mushroom, the cap with the centerpiece, also called the I'm forgetting my own research right now. Also called the circumpunct. And these are early crosses made up of lilies, which we know is the symbol for the mushroom. Again, the cross with the flower symbol, and a man carrying a poppy, dropping its seeds. So a Johnny apple seed of the poppy, where we have a vase with two mushrooms growing out of it, and a vine beneath it. Probably because Jesus talked about himself as the true vine. So while Jesus was not a mushroom, he was a man who was given birth to by a virgin who partook of the mushrooms and of the poppy. And he, just having this genetic DNA of his mother and of God, he had less DNA than we do. So like 23 sets instead of 26. This comes from some research done by Ron Wyatt. So now we skip forward a little bit to the 4th century AD, Constantine and Christianity. And in this time period they created a church. And this is the iconography from the walls. It's a mosaic made up of many little pieces, and if you get right in close you can see that in the trough where they're stomping what would be grapes are actually mushrooms, and that's because they could use the juice produced by the mushrooms as a very potent drink, a wine of the gods, or of God I should say. This is again from that same Christian church in the 4th century, named after Constantine's daughter. Another close-up, you can see the underside of a mushroom and how it does look like what they're actually crushing, not being grapes but mushrooms. And again, another close-up. Here's a 4th century Bible found in the sandstone caves of Ethiopia. And in it you can see Jesus sitting in a mushroom tree. This one actually was talked about on the BBC, but they passed over the mushrooms. They just missed it. Perhaps that was control, we'll see. Among the Christian churches, this mural comes out and stands out as the 532 AD, and you can see the poppy leaves on this column with mushroom scrolls above it, and the actual fountain really represents the fountain of life, or the mushroom. It's got similar qualities. If you were to turn it upside down, it would be a mushroom. Not totally provable, but lots of research has gone into it. And there'll be another picture of a mushroom that shows those 3 lines in the cap. These are the 3 wise men coming to meet with Jesus, and a Roman emperor with the scallop shell where the halo would be, and he's holding up a mushroom. So Christianity and the use of the psilocybin mushroom did conquer the Roman Empire. These are more Romans with more mushrooms. You can see a close-up of this guy's hand. He's holding a mushroom that looks just like this one right here, a store-bought mushroom, but of course it's going to be more significant than a store-bought mushroom. And he's holding a double-headed mushroom there. Here, this Roman ruler has a hollow-stemmed mushroom in his hand with the 3 lobes or the 3 lines on the cap, like the fountain. And this is St. Augustine. Close examination of St. Augustine's artwork here shows psilocybin mushrooms, but we can't get in that close, so let's go to the next slide. Here's Jesus. This is a artwork from a Bible called an illumination, and it shows Jesus with disciples around him, and then he's up in heaven, and these guys are his followers, and there's the tree of life, the mushroom tree, depicted very clearly there. Alright, and we already covered this guy. This is the hollow stem with the 3 lines in the cap, which is represented here in this fountain with the opium leaves beneath it. And this mushroom here comes from the top of the arch in Ravenna, Italy's church, in a church in Ravenna, Italy. Alright, so let's wrap for the day. That's 11 minutes, and we want to close it right around 10. I'll see you tomorrow, and thank you for paying attention.